Okay.
Okay. Notice of this meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by posting notices in City Hall and posting notices. Oh, we should be, what, was Will gonna get on? Applicant on it.
Yeah.
Okay, notices to the Times newspaper and the Trentonian on December 18th, 2023. Okay, with that, minutes of the September 25th, 2024 meeting. I will make a motion to accept. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Everybody seconded it, so I'm wondering what Teresa's writing down.
Okay, I think it was actually Lindy that got in there second.
Kind of work out Jeopardy.
Uh-huh.
Okay, anybody got anything, any questions, edits, changes? That was a record short meeting of late, so there's not too much to say. All right, all in favor of accepting the minutes as circulated, say aye.
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 I think we're gonna, okay, unanimous. Okay. September 2024 financial reports, we're looking at all facilities.
And this is the last time it's gonna look like that.
Oh, there's Will appear.
I will.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Okay, so
Yeah, next one, October, it's gonna reflect, the drop, the
oh,
state, yeah.
oh, I see. Okay, so you're saying it's gonna drop back down to more like 349, like the amount, so
No, it's gonna be more or less,
anyway, I think what we're saying is favor it while you got it.
Yeah.
Okay, I will make a motion that we accept the financial report as circulated. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Sam. Okay, any questions, comments, thoughts?
Just one, Patrice, on the note on the left-hand side on the combined that says, state waiver increased 270 and state waiver increased 100 at Liberty Commons. Was that left over from last month? Because I saw it on that one too.
yeah, well, the thing is that those were the new waivers, but next month, it's gonna kind of be like decreased by that much. Those are the
So we're
ones that
looking
are
at,
dropping as of October 1st.
so our capacity is 2026 overall, right? So you're saying that 20 at the bottom, that 23-22 is going to be reduced by some number?
370. But no, actually 340 because they got rid of these and then they got 10 for taxation and 30 for cannabis regulatory. So 340 is gonna be off of there.
Where is it?
340. Okay.
It's gonna be both at Lafayette.
Okay, but we're in their office.
Wow.
I don't know either.
Oh, curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just heard of somebody that switched to working here or is about to still work in that department. Right?
Are they gonna be across the street at Human Services?
I don't know. Really? I think it's in health. But the medical marijuana wasn't health. Anyway. Any other questions?
Right now, you're discussing the financial report, right? Financial
Yeah, the
report.
financials, yeah.
The one that says all facilities.
And what I was
Okay.
saying was next month, we're going to see that 370 spaces or 340 spaces that the state is canceling. As of October 1st. So that's definitely gonna reflect next month.
So our relief was very short-lived. Anyway, with that, if nobody's got any other further questions, I'll ask all in favor to say aye. Aye,
Aye.
gentlemen.
Said I if you didn't hear me.
Okay, Sam, you good?
Yes, aye.
Thank you. Okay, now approval of the September 2024 checklist. I'll make a motion that we accept it as circulated. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion, question?
Oh,
And again, the $23,000 for the Foley's, the generator, that's gonna be getting reimbursed, by the by travelers. I send them the bill every month.
We'll want to do that.
Yeah, they working today.
I saw people out there.
Do you know the total, what we have outstanding already? How much we spent to date on that and how much you expect to recover?
Well, we already got a $200,000 check, was it 207 or something? And then we got, I think 2 checks separately after that for another 23 for that month.
So we expect to get 100%, not 101, not 99, but dollar for dollar.
Basically.
You know, not administrative costs and headaches, but we're getting fully reimbursed.
Well, then tell me this then. So if we're getting 100% compensated for that service, we normally would have been paying electrical over that month, right? But no, we're not. So we're not paying any
I didn't-
electric bills basically at for the past X months.
Well, actually, let me back up. Your first comment, we would have had a deductible, so it's not quite 100.
Yeah, because
But
it's $20,000 deductible.
okay, so $20,000 off the top, but that's a really interesting point.
And then, okay, so basically it was just roughly what, 1,500? For Lafayette a month, but $1,500, $2,000.
All right, well, if that covers our deductible, or most of it, that's kind of sweet. Good point. Hadn't thought of that. Now, was there reports not on anything?
No, no.
Okay, so we actually, we're a little bit early in the month, maybe?
We are, and it's a little, backed up with the audit,
Okay,
so.
oh yeah, we got
Yeah,
the audit guys.
mhm.
I
I have the statements that were,
Okay, well,
and it is
that's
early.
fine, but we don't vote on those anyway, so. CCRC grant update and correspondence,
I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
yes,
Did we vote on that?
on the checks? Oh,
Yeah,
I
did we
don't,
just vote?
We just all appro- we have to say all,
okay, I'm sorry, you're
Yeah.
right, good catch. All in favor of the checklist as circulated? Say aye, aye.
Aye.
Sam.
Aye.
Okay,
But you know, I'm looking at the PSEG thing to your point. There's a bill for it. Is it LLC? Oh, that's Liberty.
no, it's
Farm.
what it's on, yeah.
What's M?
Merchant,
Okay.
right in front has a tenant. That's actually like, that bottom level. And then they have the garage, like when there's 2 for that.
Okay. All right. All right, CCRC update and correspondence. I'm trying to remember because it seems like we were just talking about this at a meeting. I was pushing Joanne Povia to say, can we get this back on track? And I went to the last CCRC meeting and asked as much. And then hearing nothing from them in terms of who's going to initiate. I mean, it was clarified at the last meeting that they should be initiating paperwork, whether it's an MOU or a grant agreement or whatever, that it should be generated on their end, and yet nothing's been forthcoming. So I called Julie Kraus in the treasurer's office just to ask for her advice and say, what are we going to do? And she said, let's have a meeting. So that was just, actually, I think earlier this week. When did I talk to her? It was Monday. So she was game, like she understands that this is just nowhere and getting at the table. And she had not been at the previous meetings that we had. It was with Joanne Povia and Catherine Nichols. So I think having Julie at the table, whose job is to troubleshoot and expedite Trenton related stuff, may be the answer here. And she volunteered. So that's the next step. I'll figure out what the dates are on that. Scott, I would ask you to, if your schedule allows to participate in that.
Sure.
And Will as well.
Yeah.
So if there's any questions, comments, but what we had asked Lou to do, just to restate, we asked them to come up with a scope that was everything and anything he could think of. But we haven't yet made use of that, and maybe you need to review.
And that's
that.
what I was explaining to you a little bit when we were talking earlier, you know, that,
Yeah.
that's really, when you're talking about CCRC documents and everything, that's really the one that you're gonna probably have to look at and see if you feel, you know, after, especially after the meeting and stuff, then you'll understand maybe a little bit more, but definitely feel, and see what you think might have to be added or tweaked on it.
Okay. All right, excellent.
So waterfront asset activation grant update. So September 30th came and went. And we weren't that rigid, so a couple more things came in, and I think we got a total of 8 responses to our request for expressions of interest, and we know there is probably one more yet to come in. Just because somebody was traveling abroad. I think it was 8, yeah. Now, I'm not saying they were 8 that were, you know, really acceptable. Michael, tell me if you think we can have this conversation, or if we should go into executive session, but there's no public here, and
Yeah, I think it's fine.
okay, thank you. All right, so there was a real range. Some were really quite weak. I would say 2 really didn't warrant further much discussion. So Scott and I looked at those and we shared them with Michael and Bob Powell, our consultant. And then we did a call just to kind of share reactions. And I think even before that call, as they were coming in, Bob Powell from Nassau Capital Advisors, our advisor's first thought was, we thought we were going to end up with about 5. And he said, why don't we just do a Zoom meeting with each of them? When the number got up to be 8 and there were some weaker ones, I think he kind of felt like, should we really spend the time on some of the ones that are weaker? And I guess I tend to agree with him. All we have is our time. Now, for Lindy and Sam, I just need to reinforce, we have a dilemma in terms of including everybody in meetings, because the minute we have 4 people, we are a public meeting, forum, etc., and we would have had to have advertising. So I think as we proceed, one of the 2 of you might be on the review committee, but we need to think about that and, you know, how that should go forward. But so I think what we can do, though, is give you the Dropbox link and ask that you just take a look at all these and maybe give us your feedback and see if you sort of agree with our initial assessment in terms of viability of some and others. And, you know, I'll characterize, you know, the first one came in was basically kind of a visionary idea of extending this as more park-like setting and building a childcare center and some other childcare related education stuff, using a combination of a childcare center and a small office building. And I think the reality is there was no financials presented, no idea of how that would be financed. And I think the city needs tax income. So I think that got to be a real low priority. There was another one that Scott could speak to a little bit more specifically, but the guy really kind of just gave us a lot of pictures of a grand idea of having, you know, some kind of a big screen dynamic pool thing incorporated in the middle of downtown with some kind of a building, but again, no real program attached. And then the other one, which is a strong developer, but I'm very suspect of it because he wanted to build 160 car parking there. He wanted to build competition to us. And an office building, which, you know, he didn't have an anchor tenant or anything, and we're all very paranoid about the office market. So he didn't want to do residential because he doesn't do residential. And quite candidly, this is our next door neighbor, Joe Michon, who owns the building at 120. That's the 7. One's at the 7. It's where the ABC, the state ABC is, and the state vital statistics. It's right next to it. Right next to it. I think it's 140. So I think because he's a pretty well-known local strong developer, we need to convey to him that initial thought. Like I said, he gave us renderings and everything. The renderings were pretty uninspired. Oh God, I'm saying that in public meeting, but they just were. I'll say that to him too. So I think we need to talk to him and say we would reconsider. Now there were others. Ajax, Dan Brenna, local developer. There was another consortium of Mark, Matt Faircloth, who's a local developer who was working with Roland Hott. And they were working with actually partners out of Minneapolis that they've worked with in the past that were excited about it. That was probably the most detailed presentation. The Ajax presentation just provided a minimal sketch in terms of showing a number of units and how they would be arranged without much detail and no financials, right, Scott? I don't think there was any financials included in that one.
No, I think so.
And then the PRC Group, which is a very well-known North Jersey affordable housing developer, wanted to do 100% affordable housing on the site. They're a strong developer. We should talk to them. I think that there's real concerns about doing affordable. And I personally have gotten a little bit of a signal out of City Hall that they don't want 100% affordable projects. So I think we have to push back if we were real interested in that. All of that, and I may be forgetting something. There's another one out of, I think he's Orange, that's a known quantity as a successful developer. Didn't give a lot of details, but kind of gave the team background, resumes and the like of his team without particularly. So we'll give access to Sam and Wendy, and Will can take a look too, of all of those responses. And so Bob's most current email. So after we had a bit of a discussion, I mentioned that the state has kind of a similar thing out on the streets. They call it, they don't call it RFBI, they call it a request for offer for purchase, I think, for the taxation building, the very large building on the corner of Willow and State, or Barracks and State, depending on what you call that street. And the presentation they had, they spent a fortune on, and it had heavy detail, including a market study. So after we had an initial conversation, Bob Powell went and looked at that market study, and from the email follow-up, and I haven't had a moment to talk to him about this, he seemed to even sort of back away from doing these Zoom meetings, but wanted instead to just tell people, well, give us a sense of your financials, and as kind of a reality check. Scott, tell me if you think I'm presenting comment directly. I think that's how he said it. So I'm still thinking it might be a smart political courtesy thing to do Zoom meetings with the ones that we think are viable, even as I'm willing to call the ones that we think are probably not. But also of note, none of them anticipated anything beyond our site. Well, the Matt Faircloth, it was called Prelude to Mill Hill Prelude or something like that. They had a little bit of a phase thing. I got to look at it more closely about getting into the parking lot, but none of them talked about enlarging the footprint of the project. And I think we really should push on that discussion a little bit to see if people could consider it. So as a, for instance, the Prelude to Mill Hill called for a purchase price to us. And I'm almost thinking, this is just me. I'll qualify this. I'm just thinking, why don't you use that purchase price and purchase that parking lot next door and make a bigger project and move the alley and do some good stuff to make this a better thing for that block and a better thing for downtown. But I think that if we were able to have Zoom meetings with these guys and kind of push our reactions a little bit, we could then get a dialogue going to help us understand kind of really how they made their decision and if they might be open to a little bit broader consideration of project. And that might influence how we kind of create our short list. So that's my thoughts. Can I ask Scott and Michael to add yours?
It's pretty much the same. I mean, I don't think those additional lots behind are something that they probably thought about because we're not really in control of them right now. I think if we presented something to them more along the lines of, hey, you can acquire this lot for X, or these people are involved in the process of this RFAI process. Right now, I think they just want to deal with what they already know, which is our little 0.8 acres of land and deal with that. But if we brought it up in the conversation and maybe talk to them a little bit more towards, what we're gearing at towards acquiring those properties a little more forcefully in the conversation, I think they would. But definitely go with a shorter list. I don't see any way that the ones that are on the extreme, like the 100% affordable, are going to turn around and do something completely the opposite direction. Maybe a phone call with them, and if they change their mind, fine. But I don't think it's worth talking to them. But other
Well,
than that, I think.
there's been two instances of that exact conversation. Van Skyver building, RPM came in wanting to do 100% affordable,
Mhm.
and they got off of that. Now, I heard through my channels, and I don't know if this is reliable at all, that ended up almost back there. But the old hotel on the corner of Calhoun and West State also came in wanting to do 100% affordable, and the city pushed back. And I got the impression that that's a blend, and I don't know to what degree, but I think I'll chase that down. I'll try to find out more currently. So I think, it's a conversation.
Yep, definitely.
Michael?
Yeah, I agree. As far as next steps, we should probably narrow down the list of respondents that are closer in line with what we want the project to be, and talk to them, and get some feedback that maybe isn't evident or included in the RFEI responses, and see what else is feasible in terms of looking outside of just the four corners of the broad front footprint.
Yeah, I will say too, I think I want to maybe have a discussion I want to maybe have a discussion with the mayor. Because you'll recall, the reason there is 1.5 million sort of on the table, even though we can't get access to it. I understood that was because during the budget time, the mayor was asked by the governor, what do you need money for? And that came up that way. And so I'm thinking maybe we need to engage the mayor because EDA had money for the land bank. There was a kind of unrealistic deadline for our purposes on that, so we couldn't grab a hold of that. But I don't know, did they spend all that money? Are they going to do it again? But I also heard that DCA, the Department of Community Affairs, is in control of a whole bunch of COVID-related money, American Rescue Plan or whatever. I mean, a lot. And I think if that's the case, we got to figure out what the politics are of trying to get some of the no strings money or the less strings money or the malleable money into this project. And I think that's got to be two things. I think we got to find out how true that is. And I do know the woman that used to work at the governor's office and now she's working at the banks at the county. She used to be in the thick of that when she was at the governor's office. So I can ask her what she knows or what she can find out. And if anybody else has got any access to information on that. But then I think we should sort of craft what we think would make sense and then get the mayor and possibly our legislators engaged in breaking some of that loose for the project. And, had somebody come to the table that had those connections and knew how to do it, et cetera, good, more power to them. But I think we have to bring that to the table ourselves, having gotten these responses. Lindy, are you in that world at all? Do you hear anything about that sort of thing?
No, I'm out of the loop a little bit.
Okay. It's hard to know who knows what, I was sitting at the bar at the Lobby Club and had a really interesting conversation. In fact, I was telling Will this about technology related to building inspections from a guy I didn't know he was in that world and he had really good information. So you just don't know who knows what. So gotta ask. All right, well, keep your ears open and see if you trip or anything like that. And I think that's speaks to the direction. So look for the Dropbox link. I'll send that shortly and look through them. If you know any of these people, Sam and Wendy, who haven't seen it yet, if you know any people, if you have any thoughts, chime in, be in touch, let us know. But that's the update there. We did send an asset activation kind of final, kind of accounting of the money that's been obligated and spent. And I think they're okay with us now, right? You saw that, right? Yeah, see what Andrew.
Well, they had the two things on there that we didn't do yet, but again,
Yeah.
why are we?
We're
Yeah,
not
we're not at that point.
Okay. All right, so now we're gonna jump to what is gonna be the lengthiest part of our, no pressure, Will, but. The lengthiest part of our meeting is kind of your catch up, and we appreciate that you got that report, but I didn't get a chance to get through it all, so. It looks to me
Sure.
like you're making your own working less and getting your arms around the whole of what parking authority has, right? So you wanna
Yeah,
walk us through your kind of process and impressions to date?
sure, absolutely.
Everybody got that in your email today, right? It wasn't in
Kind
the,
of last minute.
it wasn't in the initial package.
Oh, let me give you an introduction, Will.
Oh,
Let me
excellent.
do your introduction because we had a great walkthrough. Okay, so our new owners rep, I gotta tell y'all that I think we did an excellent job in this election. To follow up behind Lou. I know that's a lot of pressure on you, Will, but we had a great talk, a great walkthrough of all our facilities. And the biggest thing that I got from him that I know the board is going to love when I say this is he didn't like none of our pricing. So everything that we didn't heard about what we need to do to get fixed, he disliked every price. He thought that everything was over the top. They charging us too much. And he was going to research to find out how to make it cheaper. So I think the one thing y'all are going to notice from him is that you're not going to hear the astronomical prices. And if you do hear astronomical price, it's the price.
Yeah.
Okay. I can tell y'all now that that's going to be the price. He's going to implement a lot of things that I think that our guys on the ground can handle, that can get done, that can make it a lot cheaper for us. He's going to train us, or at least give us the way to go on it. If we can't do it, he's going to find somebody who can. So I think I did an excellent job with selecting him. I think he's going to be great for us. And now the floor is yours, Will.
Oh man, it's hard to follow after that. I think I might be better off just being silent. No, thank you. I appreciate that, Phil. And I actually really do appreciate kind of, I still reach out to Lou and I'm talking to him and I'm getting some backstories from him, like back information. Patrice, he should be dropping off a memory stick to you of all of his information. He should be giving that sometime this week. He said he had it, he was doing things, and that's just going to give me the details that I can go and fill in everything. So I really appreciate Phil's time. It was really nice just taking, half a day and just going to each one of the things and just saying, all right, what's the immediate heartburns right now? What's the long-term goals? We generated a couple lists. Some things are just ongoing in-house lists that we're just going to help knock out. Some things are bigger picture things that it's just good to know. So I went through Lou's old meeting minutes, and that's going to be the old activities that's on the second page of this this report that I kind of put together. Some of those I just have to research if they were done or not, because I had access to all of his meeting minutes, but I don't know. He says I recommend. I got to follow up to make sure, did it happen, how'd it go, close it out. So that's kind of what I found there. That's the old stuff. I'll just go through some of the new stuff. I'm just going to go through it real quick. If you have more questions, please stop me at any time. But just broad in front, the two things that I just wanted to make sure I was up on was the status of the city work directives without poking the bear. Like, I know there was a issue with the city. Are we satisfied with them now? Or are they going to come by and say, hey, you didn't do X, Y, and Z? Phil said he's going to send over some of the not Phil, I'm sorry. Lou said he's going to have documentation of the violations and kind of the steps and everything. I just want to make sure, like, if there was like a stop work order or a cease and desist, like, is that satisfied, or are there further things to follow up with Hank about? The other thing was just that CCGC program, making sure.
CCRC, just for your.
So I'm sorry, typo. CCRC.
Yeah. Unless you've got another grant program, we'd love to hear about it.
I'll try and find one. Sure.
Okay.
And this was just to make sure. I know Lou put the budget together, like you said. I was just going to review what he put together, see if there's anything else, and then see. I know there was a snafu with the submitting of the first round of bills and having to pay them back. How can we get those ones back in so that Trenton Parking Authority isn't exposed to these expenses? If the money's there, you should be able to apply it. There's 300,000 in incidents and kind of like a slush fund, 100,000 and 200,000. Some of those bills should be able to apply there. So those are my two big goals for that one. Lafayette, that one there, the big thing obviously was the electric. So I followed up with Joe Peoples. The last I talked to him on Monday was basically the city wanted a disconnect put in before they issue their cut card to PSE&G. PSE&G is ready to go. They said as soon as we get that cut-in card, we can pull everything. They're actually at a good pace right now. I know in my project, I just got my meters installed this week. As soon as I got the cut-in card, a week later it was the conduits were done. A week later the wire was in. And a week later now the meters are in. So they're pretty on top of what they have to do. They just need that card from the city. So Joe's getting that squared away.
What is a cut-in card?
It's an approval from the city saying the city inspected all of the electronics and they agree that everything is installed per the plans, and it gives PSE&G authorization to bring power and connect the power to the building.
I never heard of it.
Yep. And that's basically that way PSE&G isn't connecting a meter and they're not responsible for everything downstream, but the city is. So that way everything's done safely and wires aren't crossed and things are done the way they're supposed to be. So it's just a checks and balance, but the city's a little slow in getting these cutting cards out the door to PSE&G. So that's that. The other thing I noted there, Phil, we talked about was just the reliability of the elevators seems to be an issue, and it seems to maybe be linked with the HVAC system in the elevator machine rooms, whether it's too cold in the winter or too hot in the summer because the HVAC's not working right. Now, this might be a result to the temp power. Maybe it's not sending the right, or this might be something further that we're going to look at just to see if it's operating properly. That way, it's more reliable. Cuts down on Phil's, troubleshooting time, going back up there, resetting things, trying to figure it out. So that's those ones for Lafayette Garage. The big thing for Liberty Commons, it just seemed like there's water penetrating down. It's kind of a bigger annoyance, but also with that comes wear and tear and things like that. So it does look like, and looking at the at some of the programs, that this is the backer rod and the caulking needs to be redone. I really think that this is something that we could probably do in-house. We just get the tools, get the material, get everything, and get the guys, lined up for this. We can kind of knock some of this out. And not only is it good presentation to have it, set right and everything, it helps with the water penetration so that the water's not going down into the lobby, so that fixtures and things are being saved. The slabs of the concrete are being saved. Water penetrating isn't coming in. And we can kind of cut down on some of those annoyances there. So that was basically the big thing with Liberty Commons that we have right now. I think there are some from 2019. There is a report of and some things like that. There's some things on that report that, again, that's old issues. I just got to go see and have we done any of them? Have we not done any of them? Which ones of those are easy to do and which ones are going to require a little bit more work? And then merchant lot, the big thing there was just those sinkholes, getting them done, getting a guy to come in and scan for the cavities, do a radar penetration of the lot just to see how big the cavities are. I have already engaged with a couple of people to bring them through just to get an idea of what sealing the cracks, putting a sealant on the whole parking lot would be, and restriping, just to get an idea of the pricing of these. So that way we know, what the trends are now. I know everything's a little bit more expensive, but to that extent as well, once we get the sinkholes identified and filled in, and the plan there is scan it, figure out how big those holes are. As long as they're not outrageous, you get a mixture like a flowable fill, which is a low strength concrete mix. It's like a slurry. You pour it in, it goes down into all the nooks and crannies. It's meant for this application. and it cures to like a 2000 psi, so it's a soft concrete, but it's stable enough just to stop the erosion from happening, seal up this hole, kind of firm up underneath the parking lot, and then you can just do the cold patch and you seal on top of it, and you should be good for the foreseeable future. The other thing that we're looking at with this one is I have been looking at and talking to people about restriping programs, getting pricing, but I also kind of looked at on the side and said, listen, we could rent a machine from Sunbelt, $1,500, rent it for the month, and then get a whole bunch of 5-gallon buckets of the striping, which is about 200, 150 depending on color for a 5-gallon bucket. And Phil is more than capable with his guys of setting up and restriping the existing lines. We're not asking him to do new layouts or calculations or anything like that. It's just refreshing what's there. It seems like it's a more budget friendly approach to getting something that would be impactful for that lot, refreshing it, make it look better. So the last thing was there at Warren Street. I just had a couple quick notes of there. I know the biggest one that was kind of on the back burner were the fire department violations that were there. They're going to follow up with them. Is the fire department going to come in? I know this is what Phil's talking about. Like, I think there was a proposal of $60,000 to replace the doors in the stairwells with fire rated doors. I counted them. There's about 21 doors. That's roughly $3,000 a door. Those are expensive doors, especially when all of the other garages, they don't even have doors on the stairwells. So if it's a simple matter of this door, since it's there, needs to be fire rated, but if the door was taken off and there was just an entrance way, maybe you don't even need to spend them. We just need to take the doors off and leave it open. I'm not sure if that satisfies the fire department's needs, but at least it's worth investigating. Again, a fire rated door with a little skylight in it or daylight opening in it is not $3,000. So we'll look at that and see.
Scott, are you liking these numbers?
All right, so yeah, so those are
Definitely
kind of
our
things.
numbers person, Will.
Oh yeah, all right, excellent. So
Yeah.
I'll bounce any of these numbers off you as well. And sometimes it does take you do get lost up it, but sometimes, unfortunately, sometimes these numbers they do stack up quickly. If it's a 2-hour rated door with a special rated glass and a special hinge and a special door closer, and now all of a sudden you're multiplying that by 21, or maybe it wasn't just those, it was all the ones down in the basement too. And so the scope of it, I think when Lou gets me the proposal, I'll be able to see exactly what was on there and then say, but if it's purely from what I'm hearing and seeing, it's just the stairwells. I think we can do better with that number. So,
Well, I think you would get a consensus from this board that we're not Cadillac kind of people. We want to meet the code. We want to make fire departments happy, but
yeah,
Maybe.
Yeah. You don't need automatic doors that open, for you.
Yeah, exactly.
This isn't the Star Trek Enterprise, right? Okay.
Right.
So gotcha. All right. Like I said, there's a lot of old business in there, stuff that you guys already know, you guys can read through. And with some of these things, there are a lot of notes that I started taking in all of them. I'm trying to condense everything down so it doesn't take forever to go through all of these. I want this to kind of be a useful guide of what has happened and what's up and coming versus, here's, this big, cumbersome file that I'm working with. So, not everything's going to make it on this list because it's just going to be stuff that comes up and goes. If it's of noteworthy, I'll put it on, but I will still document everything that I'm doing for the TPA. So, and I think that was really it as far as kind of what I'm doing now and what I'm looking forward to doing, in the future. I think the big one is just making sure that Broad and Front is satisfied with everything that needs to happen as far as the city's concerned, and then working towards getting those funds reimbursed. And the other ones are really just kind of just the open-ended maintenance things. I'm going to go through all of those maintenance reports and kind of check off what needs to be done and what's critical and what's not. There were some things on some of them that I saw that might be a little bit more time sensitive than other things. So, I'll leave it there.
So like on the Lafayette Street garage, these Roman numerals 1 through 13, that's what you're pulling out of those professional reports we had done? Is that where that came
On
from?
the, yeah, so
Restoration program?
you're talking like on the,
Lafayette
on the
garage.
second page in the old business?
Yep,
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so I went through and I saw it, like, for instance, on the, yeah, the 2017 restoration program. Those were the things that they noted with recommendations to repair. So floor cracking, floor sealing. So they had little scopes that they had written up. Some of it is, might be a little bit more time sensitive, but the line striping might not be as important right now as, the floor cracking might need to be something that gets addressed. Some of it can be addressed real quickly. The floor delaminating spalling, that's really just cleaning out the crack, putting a little sealant in there. Done. That's something that we can take care of in-house. The structural paint sounds bad, but paint's not, it's just, hey, the building's been painted, you might need to just straighten it up a little bit, and you guys have already done a lot with kind of painting some of these things in some of these areas, knocking them out. We can continue with that program, great, and that's just, Patrice, we had talked about that. That's just kind of some of the little beautification stuff. They noted it in the report, but is it really impactful? Is it something that's, their pricing? We won't get into that either.
Yeah, I think we really need to kind of balance that Cadillac versus the Ford Focus or something, I mean, I don't know that we want to go to the bottom, but I think we really, we want to deal with safety stuff. I mean, I think we want to
Yes.
prioritize the safety stuff. I like to deal
Yeah.
with cosmetic stuff too, but the cosmetic stuff, a lot of it our team can do.
and
in
that's
the-
exactly
in the
what you're
day-to-day,
saying, yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'd pick I would say some of the stuff, I think there was in one of them, I think actually it was, I think it was in the Broaden front, but I have a feeling it might be because they're kind of similarly built at Liberty Commons, was like the bearing pads. So where the, in Broaden front, they had showed a lot of pictures of, and we don't have to worry about that one now because that's being taken down. But I think we're going to find maybe the same thing in Liberty Commons, and maybe all of them that are the prefab, is where the prefab slabs come down and rest on the columns. There are bearing pads, and those, are because of the traffic going over them and just the general movement of the seasons and everything. Those pads do wear out, and it is a matter of shoring, chopping, putting the new pad in, forming non-shrink grout. That is a program. That might be a program that for the, just for the safety of everything, that might be something that needs to be looked at. But I'll know more once I see all the rest of the reports and kind of determine it. So.
Well, and also if just a thought, but if that's something that we could do like one level a year, like if we could.
Yep.
Kind of. Phase
And it
it
could
in,
just be
so
certain areas, yeah, like say you want to do 5 of them now, 5 of them now, and then determine the high risk ones, the medium risk, and then just exactly kind of rotate them around. That's
Yeah.
probably perfectly acceptable.
I mean, we really, we burned up most of our reserves and we have reserves. And I would just say that if we can phase it in such a way that we can take it out of our regular operating funds by finding some other economies or whatever. If we can eke it out over time that way, the safety stuff, we really don't want to be accused of kind of letting that rot.
Sure.
But, I know you probably get a better price if you go in and do the whole thing. We don't have the money, so.
Well, it could be the kind of thing, this is where you get someone and you tell them, there's a way, you bid out the whole thing, but say, we're going to do this in phases, and it's something that they can do. You work with a contractor as well. When it's kind of slow for them, they can come in and get it done. And there's ways of working with contractors to get better deals on it too. So, not to leave it kind of open-ended and everything, but, if you say all of this has to be done, we just got to break it in small chunks. You can still, you get economy of scales with them.
Okay, I guess so. We need you to kind of think in terms of you know, if this. In both the Lafayette and the other one that had a Roman numeral list, if. They are not in the order of importance in your estimation, let's rejigger this list as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, these are ones once I've got these things, I'll go back through and I'll do a quick little site visit and just say, all right, you know what? The floor cracking they talked about, that's easy, or the bumper protection that was already taken care of, or yeah, floor drains, you know, they talked about those, but I think they've been addressed already, so yep.
Yeah, and if, you know, if our guys can get an opportunity to do this kind of work, I think that's serves everybody well. The more capacity we build in our staff has some long-term benefits too.
Yep. Absolutely.
What other questions for Will?
We know good?
Okay. And we don't have any public here, so.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so thanks for that report and, so Sam and Lindy, take a look at these RFEIs, get back to us with any insights or thoughts you have on the process. And we'll kind of let you know where we land in terms of what's going on next steps, but that's kind of our biggest item
Okay.
radar. Well, maybe it's right up there. We're trying to get this DCRC thing back on track. But, okay,
Madam Chair, I forgot one question.
yeah.
Yeah, going back to Broad Front, we were doing that in periodic inspection of that, but now it's showed up. Did I read correctly? We don't have to do that anymore going
No.
forward?
Okay, so for what Tim Hostin and they came and did the last inspection, I think that was August, was the last one, or September. But that was supposed to be the last one. They would say that we were fine as far as what we did, even though when me and Will walked through there, we was trying to figure out what they said needed to be done, because what they told us that needed to be done and what we saw that was done looks like they just gave us busy work. And that's pretty much what it looks like. It looks like that the city went in there and gave us a violation and gave us some busy work for us to spend some extra money that, yeah, we probably didn't.
Michael, is that your understanding too, having handled this whole appeal and process?
I need to go back and look at the consent order and see what the
Yeah,
and see what the construction board ordered us to do, which is different than, you know, what the city asked for. We want to make sure that we're in compliance.
yeah. They start throwing penalties at you and then we gotta go pay you to go get rid of the penalty. Which
Yeah,
you've
and
done
so-
very effectively for us, thank you
Yes.
very much. Yeah. Okay,
Will, you and I should probably catch up and I can get you up to speed on sort of the legal aspect of it.
Perfect. I appreciate that. Yeah. We'll connect very soon here. That'd be great.
Okay, good.
all right, so I think that we may, if everybody agrees it makes sense, I think we'll coordinate you having a conversation with the folks at THA Consultants.
Mhm.
Michael, I don't know if that's something you want to be in on? That kind of catch
Yeah,
up?
let me see what we're still required to do, and then we can
Yeah.
inform them.
Yeah.
All right.
And part of the idea of Will meeting with them though is broader than just Broad in Front. It's more just kind of getting the download of where they think we are with the facilities generally.
Yep.
Or just having to get to know you, kind of know who our team is, PHA. And what, what the division of labor is, I guess, as we go ahead. I mean, we're not really doing a whole lot of projects that they're gonna be involved in beyond Broad in Front right now, I don't think, but they're a longstanding partner, kind of contractor of ours. And if any board members want to be involved in a conversation like that, just holler. We'll be in. I don't know that we bring a lot to the table for the technology stuff. Comcast, I think we sort of jumped over that. Patrice, you want to speak to that?
I spoke to Comcast and what we're going to do instead of them. Like the list they kind of gave us was like all these little pinpoints. So, when I was talking to them, we're going to have a Zoom meeting. And, they're going to tell us exactly what they think we need and exactly what we feel we need. And so, Anne said that we'll probably, Scott, if you want to, you could be on there too. But, maybe you should be on them, yeah, because you understand more of it. You guys are more tech people. I don't understand all that.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if we've said this to you, because you were in a couple meetings, but Comcast Smart Solutions we've engaged with them because they're interested in introducing technology. They'd like to do all of our decks. We're gonna do the one that's the worst in terms of old technology right now, and try to really bring it up so we really can collect data. We can collect money better. We can do more transient parking than we can currently do in that particular deck. And if it works, maybe consider extrapolating it. But the beauty of theirs is it was kind of affordable compared to what some of the specific parking vendors were proposing. Sam?
I lost track a bit. You know, where are we now with the Comcast talk?
Yeah, so
Position.
that's what.
Yeah, we're gonna be meeting with them to discuss things further, because instead of like the notes that they're giving us and with like these little, like different little things little questions that they have, or like, different questions about programming and stuff like that. And sometimes I get a little lost, or, Phil might be in a different direction doing something else, and it's hard to get us to answer these. So we're gonna all meet together. We're gonna do a Zoom meeting.
Sam, is that something you might want to participate in?
Sure.
Sam-
When is that? When
I
is this
don't know
scheduled?
yet. I don't know yet, but what I'll do is I'll put you into the email.
Yeah,
And
please
Sam,
do.
let Patrice know how your schedule flows, because then maybe she can solicit.
Yeah, like, is there a
Times.
certain day that you're actually around here instead of in New York?
Or able to, or more.
Yeah, what for this week or the next week? I'm on disability. I'm on workman compensation. You remember I said it right?
Oh, your accident.
Yeah, so I'm not working right now.
He was in an accident.
I'm on
And he's
worker
still
comp.
getting sign checks.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So let's
Okay. So you're kind of
So,
open next 2 weeks?
yeah, I'm available.
Okay, sounds
Especially
good.
for Zoom. Okay, yeah, that'd be great, Sam. The more ears and eyes
Yeah.
on the explanation, the better, hopefully, understanding we'll have of the whole process. We're really, really hopeful that this really upgrades that parking lot, but really allows us to upgrade the whole systems for data collection and understanding of our business, and maybe therefore coming up with more strategic plans moving forward. So,
So, Pat, do you have any documentation from them with regard to the services they're
Yeah.
offering or not?
I'll send over whatever we have.
yeah.
I'll
Okay,
send that
please.
to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me take a look.
All right. Anything else, folks? Lindy's light went on. Were you just breathing hard?
Like, go
She
on.
was say,
I'm
she just wants
listening
to say good night.
intently.
Intently, yeah.
Okay. Your light went on. All right, well then I will ask for a motion to adjourn. Anyone?
I move.
Thank you, Sam. Okay, and I'll second. So with that, all in favor? Say aye or just click off.
Aye.
All right.
Thanks again.
Good night.
Very efficient.
Have a good
Bye.
evening.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.